Live from Lagos, this is Lunchtime Politics. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. We're tracking what's going on in the polity. It's about time we bring you up to speed with our headlines. Finally, former Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, arraigned in court, pleads not guilty to all allegations of fraud preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. Petroleum marketers decry the high cost of PMS from the Port Harcourt Refinery as products is higher by 75 naira at that refinery as against that of Dangote Refinery. And less than 2 weeks after his electoral victory, Governor Yahaya Bello of Ondo State meets President Bola Tinubu in the nation's capital, Abuja. Thanks again for joining us on the program. We call it your midday gateway to the politics. It's called Lunchtime Politics. It's finally where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission wanted him to be, following a series of arguably embarrassing drama which lasted for months. Mr. Yahaya Bello was arraigned today, where he pleaded not guilty to all 16-count charge preferred against him by the lead anti-graft agency, the EFCC. The former Kogi State governor, sometimes known and referred to as the White Lion, was docked before a trial justice, Marian Aneni of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, sitting in Maitama, alongside 2 other defendants, Umar Oricha and Abdul Salami Hudu. The defendants have been accused of being complicit in a 110 billion naira fraud. Mr. Bello, alongside Mr. Umar Oricha and Abdul Salam Hudu, have been prosecuted as first and third defendants, respectively, in a fresh 110 billion naira 16-count charge instituted against them by the EFCC. Those are the allegations. The other defendants, Mr. Umar Oricha and Abdul Salam Hudu, however, have been given administrative bail by the commission. However, after taking their plea, Mr. Bello's counsel, Joseph Dodo, moved application for bail. But the EFCC counsel, Mr. Kemi Pinero, opposed the application, saying it had expired in October. At the last hearing, November the 14th, the EFCC sought for an adjournment to today, November the 27th, in a fresh case it instituted against Mr. Bello, saying the 30 days window was still running for the summons earlier issued by the court. That case is still ongoing as we speak. Well, as soon as we get anything from that proceedings and court in the nation's capital with Yahaya Bello, we'll bring you up to speed on the program. But let's move on to the revitalized, if you will, Port Harcourt Refinery as a petroleum products retail outlet. Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, says the price of premium motor spirit out of that old refinery that has now been revamped, which resumed production yesterday, is 75 naira per liter higher than the one sold by the Dangote Refinery. This was revealed by the Association Public Relations Officer, Mr. Joseph Obele, during the official reopening of the ceremony of the refinery. Dr. Obele is also concerned about the pricing disparity between the petrol supplied by the National Petroleum Company of Nigeria, NPCL, and the Dangote Refinery. We also had a conversation with the president of Petron earlier today on the morning brief, and this is what he had to say.
Would it make sense for the Port Harcourt Refinery's petrol price to be higher than the Dangote Refinery's price for petrol?
No, I don't think it should be the case. I don't think it should be the case. We should be able to interrogate that very efficiently, and in our capacity as a responsible and patriotic organization, we will certainly interrogate that. Yesterday, we bought products from NNPC's platform. The price did not indicate anything to the contrary of what they had advertised earlier. But now that we know that Dangote is selling for $9.70, of course, we must also insist, that the price will have to come down to make sure that there is, price stability across the board.
All right. But how much was it, Mr. Billy Gilisari, yesterday? How much was it?
We paid 1,045 for some of these.
All right.
Because products are not just in all the depots available at the same time. And that's why we encourage NNPC to increase production ensure that all the refineries are working. We work with Dangote Refinery, that is a mega refinery, so there is adequate product in the country. And when the products are there, then we're not importing.
But that's going to be our conversation. But just before that, the Trade Union Congress is calling on states that are yet to begin the process of implementing the new minimum wage to urgently do so or avert the wrath of the workers in their state. The president of the Congress, Mr. Festus Osifo, notes that some states, including Cross River and Zamfara, are yet to commence discussion on the implementation of the new minimum wage. The Labour leader also speaks on the old Port Harcourt refinery, which has commenced production yesterday.
There are some states that there is no conversation whatsoever. As you could recall, that as we speak today, Cross River, there is a 2-day warning strike that is currently going on in Cross River State because the government of Cross River State is not responsive to the plight of workers regarding the issues of minimum wage. There is no conversation going on currently in Zamfara State on how the new minimum wage will be implemented and how the consequential adjustment should be done. So we are hereby calling on the governor of Zamfara to emulate what is happening in the state that is very close to him, that also have similar revenue. A state like Kebbi today is also taking a lead regarding issues that is bordering on the welfare of workers. We would also want to comment on the issues bordering on refineries. We've heard in the news that the old Port Harcourt refinery has started processing crude, but we would still want to validate that further. We have reached out to our in-house union in Port Harcourt refinery to validate that. But beyond the old Port Harcourt refinery, we want government to also revisit or to expedite work in other refineries.
All right, so the biggest conversation in the country now has to do with this Dangote refinery. Why do I say Dangote? I'm so used to Dangote refinery. The Port Harcourt refinery. So for clarity, the refinery is in two parts. The old one, 60,000 capacity that can process 60,000 barrels of crude oil per day. And it's 150, which is still in the works, which is the new one. But the one that is working now is the old one that has been revamped. We're being joined on the program by Mr. Todd James, is the National Secretary of IPMAN. Mr. James, thank you so much for coming on the program. All right, Mr. James, if you can hear me, could you unmute your device?
How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm great. And you?
Thank God, it's well.
Okay, Mr. James, let's begin with this. Some of the issues, the immediate ones that has to do with pricing, because Nigerians had expected that at least for those of you who are wholesalers, Dangote Refinery had brought its price down to 970 as at the last announcement or release they made. But we understand that marketers are buying for 1,045 naira at the Port Harcourt Refinery. Is there an explanation being given to marketers, because this will have trickle-down effect to the consumers, where the cost will be passed on to all of us?
Yes, as you are, everybody is aware, you are aware, the petroleum industry has been regulated. It's a free-for-all market now. It's what you get, you will sell. So, as at now, what you are meeting in the market, one cannot categorically state that this is how it is going or how it should be, because it is on the tipping edge. It's just, Dangote has just come in, and at the same time, the NNPC refineries, they are still on. So by the time it will stabilize, before one can definitely know the position of pricing, because I can tell you that in the industry, everybody is putting their acts together, ITMA as one. We are trying to understand the movement of the business, because for a long time, we were having some crisis which we have just come out of it. And presently, we are trying to put our house in order so that will be able to compete effectively. And I can assure you that by the time ITMA start getting product at better prices, definitely the members of the public will have something to smile because ITMA prices will definitely be down, lower than any other player in the industry.
Well, IPMAN prices, the price that IPMAN will sell and every other marketer will sell will depend on how much you're buying. So one is wondering, my question was actually, is there an explanation to why their prices, which is a public, permit me to use the word, our own national refinery, is selling for higher than the one that is the private, that's the Dangote refinery? Is there an explanation to that effect? Because you're already lifting, if maybe you also answer the question of whether you're off-taking directly from that refinery as we speak.
Well, what I can tell you there is the fact is that ITMA has had very fruitful business discussion with Dangote. Dangote have offered, and ITMA is putting his house in her house in shape so that we resume fully. We have not resumed very fully in picking those products because there are one or two things for ITMA to put on ground. That was why I told you that we were out of business for a long time. And now that this thing has just come, it was last month we had a meeting and we're putting the house together so that we enter and do a very favorable business for everybody to smile home.
No, I'm asking about the Port Harcourt refinery. Mr. James, if just a minute, is IPMAN lifting from the Port Harcourt refinery as we speak?
I think Port Harcourt refinery, it was yesterday. They started flashing that they are loading over there. In the business of petroleum, once they agree, there are certain things that have to be settled. ITMA has not even gone in to conclude how they will live from Port Harcourt. So I cannot, and ITMA is not in position to talk about the pricing in Port Harcourt depot because we are yet to concretize our lifting there as of today, now that I'm talking to you. So until that is done, maybe later in the day, maybe tomorrow, ITMA will be in a better position to give you the fact.
So who has been, is it just NNPCL that is lifting from what you're on? If I don't have the opportunity to have Petron here, but we spoke to Mr. Billy Gillis-Harry earlier on this particular issue, but I can't remember whether we're asking whether the organization or the association is lifting. So if IPMAN is not lifting, I wouldn't know whether Petron is lifting or any other person is lifting. Does it mean it's only NNPCL, their retail, that is lifting to their outlets? Is that what you understand, or is that information you can let me in on?
You know, I've been saying this thing, and ITMA has been giving this position very clear. ITMA members, some of them have registered and are lifting from NNPC through NNPC retail. So even if a member of ITMA is lifting there, not from our body as ITMA as a body, but as a marketer through NNPC retail. So the price, the better person to talk about pricing in Port Harcourt now is NNPC retail. Because we are getting it from through them.
Okay, because what we hear, go ahead, please, go ahead.
We'll be in position to talk about the price regime if when we resume our bulk lifting from NNPC for our members. At that time, we cannot come up with our price that, look, this is the price we get from NNPC. This is the price if we lift it, go and stay with it. At that point in time, we can control our members. But now, if a member picks his product through NNPC retail, we are not in position to do that because it depends on what NNPC retail give to them. They will sell it.
Okay, maybe you just speak to what is out there on the streets, information available to all of us. Dangote is selling for $970.
Yes.
Port Harcourt Refinery is selling for 1,045 naira to wholesalers. My question will be, what do you think about this price disparity? 1,045 naira. That's about 75 naira higher than what the Dangote Refinery is selling. So what's your take on this price disparity?
My take is that is the beauty of the market. Since they have removed subsidy from this thing, there must be competition in the market. If NNPC choose to give at a higher price, definitely we go and buy from Dangote. So I appreciate what Dangote, if that is the price as you say, is correct. I appreciate it. And by so saying, NNPC will definitely come down because nobody will like to bring product and just be keeping. We like to sell off. So we too, by the time we resume fully, we'll be going for a lesser market price so that we take to the members of the public with on a very moderate price so that they will smile home.
Mr. James,
So my take.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, please. I thought you were done.
Is that is the beauty of the market. Now that they have removed the subsidy, there must be competition. The product will determine where you will get it. If an NPC decides to give at 1,045 and Dangote is giving at 970, even if we are not even in the system, you will go for Dangote and leave an NPC where they are top. With that, they may be compelled to come down. So my take is it's a good thing to happen. Let it come up more so that we now do the market the way it's supposed to be. But the important thing I can assure you is that ITMA is negotiating on a very good price that when we get it and hit the market, the members of the public will smile home because they will have fuel to go home. And I'm very sure in the near future that will happen. When you enter ITMA filling station, you will know that yes.
All right, Mr. James.
We are arranging properly.
Okay, that's appreciated, Mr. James. So let's take it further. At some point, I may be joined by a representative from Petron. But for now, let's talk about, because you're technically, as marketers, you are gatekeepers as to the quality of fuel we buy and the price we buy. There are concerns that this refinery is not really a refinery in the sense of a refinery, given the fact that a refinery takes crude oil and distillates into the fractional distillation into all the derivatives that we get from gasoline to AGO to Jet 1 fuel and all of that, that the PMS element is actually, my apologies, that the PMS is actually, that it's actually a blending plant to that extent. But I know that NNPCL has released a statement even saying that, look, let me read their statement. It said, the refinery is producing the following daily outputs: straight-run gasoline naphtha blended into 1.4 million liters premium motor spirit, that's PMS or petrol. In their statement, they added to say, blending is a standard practice in refineries globally, as no single unit can produce gasoline that fully complies with any country's standards without such processes. So there's the argument as to what this really is. Because if it's a standard refinery, it will process and give us PMS. If it's a blending plant, that means we need to cure it with naphtha and maybe methanol to be able to get the petrol we need. Is that a concern for you? I'm talking to Mr. James, please. Mr. James?
You mean me? Is it a product or you are talking to it?
Yeah, Mr. James. Mr. James, did you get my question?
Yes.
Okay,
no,
maybe
I thought you were talking to the other person.
No, if you got my question, please. Okay. Since you mentioned the other person, let me bring the other person in at once. We're talking. Okay, I understand the network had knocked him off. I was talking about the Port Harcourt refinery. There was a memo that was leaked that said that it is more of a blending plant than a refinery. That what happens is they got an off-spec, treated or cure, whatever term they use with naphtha and methanol to get us the PMS. They cannot really distillate PMS as a refinery would distillate. Is that a concern for you? And NNPCL has responded.
No, that has nothing to do with ITMA. ITMA is a marketer. It's not a blending organization. And a refining organization is a marketer. We wait when the product is produced. They will either give us PMS, that is petroleum oil, or they will give us AGO, or they will give us a DPK. These are what the end product we wait, and that is what we take to the market. So when that one they are talking does not concern ITMA. What concerns ITMA, we are waiting. When they are ready with the product, we go and pick and sell it to the market, to this thing. But of course, it must be a better price. If they give us a better price, we will buy it. If they don't do that, we go and buy it from Dangote.
All right, Mr. James, it should concern you, even if you're not a refiner. I wasn't asking you. I know the question I've reserved for the NNPCL. I'm asking, does it concern? Because if you're selling PMS that is of not as standard quality, that should be a concern because it will affect health. It will affect, what do you call it now? It will affect the engines of the vehicle. And if we are thinking as a country of not only refining our product with this backward integration, but also being net exporter of petroleum products abroad, like Europe, and our quality of petrol is not standard, that should be a concern because we're talking about our economy in the long run. So doesn't it concern you if that allegation is correct?
No, the word I say is not our concern. It's a professional statement because already the government has set up an institution that monitors and controls this. And what is that? It's Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. So that kind of question, they are in a better position to answer it. Let us be focusing questions to where it can be properly answered. If any person comes from ITMA to discuss or say something on that, it will not be a correct statement. And you know yourself. Tomorrow, the press will start saying ITMA has said this, ITMA has said. I'm saying that the real people to do that is NAMPRA, Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. So let's quickly invite them. Let us explain that to us. What are they talking? Because we are waiting that when they satisfy the product, we buy it. And I'm very sure whatever comes off from either Dangote or from NNPC refinery, it must be certified by this body before it will go into the market. So that is why I say that it doesn't concern.
Well, yeah, Mr. James, I'm not telling you to answer NNDPR's question and NNPCL. I'm just asking for your concern. We're all stakeholders. There was NNDPR, there was NUPRC, there was Dangote, there was NNPCL, and we see some of the things that happen in the sector that are very, very embarrassing. So as a stakeholder, I was just asking your thought, but it's okay. So we'll be looking forward to how this plays out eventually at the end of the day. We're excited the refinery is out and running, but we want the truth as to what exactly is going on in that sector because we always say it's our cash cow. Mr. James Storr is the National Secretary of IPMAN. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's move on to other stories and tell you that the governor of Ondo State, Yahaya Bello, has emphasized the need for Nigerians to work towards earning more income to address the economic challenges being experienced in the country. The governor who won the recent governorship election in Ondo State was speaking after he visited President Bola Tinubu, accompanied by his deputy, to present his certificate of return. He explained that the economic downturn did not negatively impact the party's fortunes in the election due to the political awareness of the electorate in his state.
The people of Ondo State, we are not just politically aware, we are also economically aware of the happenings in the country. Yes, it's true that after the removal of subsidy, there have been some kind of economic challenges, which not only in Ondo State, but across the nation. But we're able to educate our people. It's an evolution. It has nothing to do with the government per se. It's a global thing. Society evolves, and the evolution brings about different issues, and that is what we need to deal with. And we try to educate our people that the only thing we need to do now is to look for a way to earn more so that we can meet up with the cost of living. So these are the education we need to give to our people. Look for a way to earn more money, engage the system, and engage in productive venture that will make you to earn more money. People have increased the prices of their services, of their products. So it's a cycle. So it has nothing to do with the government, even if it's another government, but the decision that was taken is for the overall good of the nation by removing the subsidy. It comes with some pains initially, but over time, we'll be able to see that it's for the betterment of the economy, and that is already happening.
Well, we will now cross over, take a break from Lunchtime Politics and cross over to the 8th Triennial Delegate Conference of the National Executive Council and entire leadership of the Nigerian Union of Journalists taking place in Owerri, the Imo State capital. That event kickstarts right now only on our DSTV platform, but on other platforms like our terrestrial platform and online, we'll continue with Lunchtime Politics. And just before we go, let's tell you that the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, has held a closed-door meeting with the 2023 Kano Central Senatorial candidate for the ruling APC, Alhaji Abdulsalam Zara. The meeting is one of the latest of meetings that some have described as moves by the Labour Party presidential candidate to broaden its political alliance ahead of the next elections in 2027. Although neither Mr. Obi nor Mr. Zara made any statement to the press after the discussion, with both gentlemen maintaining that the meeting was a private matter. But some persons believe Mr. Obi's visit may not be unconnected with his ongoing efforts to build coalition of leaders from across Nigeria's political spectrum. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.